Hi everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we decode the corporate world. Today we are diving into Cuentas, and let me tell you, their recent financial report is not exactly a fairy tale. It is more like a horror story about cash flow. Before we start, if you appreciate getting straight insights from corporate documents, make sure you're subscribed. We also have a Discord community linked in the description below where professionals and retail investors alike decode corporate filings like these together. Join the Discord for a deeper experience and ask any questions. Join us to make calls that are more powerful and informed. We are going to break down their latest quarterly report, a Form 10Q filing, which is basically a checkup on how they are doing financially. Expect red flags, strategy shifts, and a lot of financial juggling. First things first, this report is unaudited, which means it hasn't been checked by an independent accounting firm. So keep that in mind as we go through the numbers. Let's jump right to the part about their cash. As of September of 2024, they had a measly $15,000 in cash. Compare that to the end of 2023 when they had over $2,000 and $5,000. That is a huge drop and a concerning sign that they are burning through their money fast. This is akin to having your bank account drop from $200 to $1.50 in a short period of time. Next, if we look at their total assets, it paints an even uglier picture. This is essentially all of the stuff that a company owns. In September of 2024, they had a total of $1.2 million in assets, but at the end of 2023, they had $4.7 million. So what happened? They lost nearly $3.5 million, nearly $3.5 million. That is like someone's house getting completely destroyed by a hurricane. This is where things get painful. This number represents how much money they have lost over the entire history of the company. As of September of 2024, their accumulated deficit was almost $58 million. To make matters worse, that number was only $55 million at the end of 2023. That means they lost almost $3 million in only 9 months. Scroll unaudited, condensed, consolidated, interim statements. Cost of comprehensive scroll, comprehensive scroll, and all darking, or in this case, losing money. Their total revenue, or how much money they brought in, decreased as well. For the first 9 months of 2024, it was only $676,000 compared to $1 million in 2023. This means they sold much less product the past year. Their operating loss, which is in very simple terms the profitability from their core business, was also negative. They had an operating loss of $1.6 million, which means that their business is fundamentally unprofitable. Ultimately, when all bills were paid, counting every type of revenue and expense, they had a total loss of nearly $3 million. This is compared to a $4.3 million loss versus compared to a $4.3 million loss versus last year. So at least they lost less money. First, stock-based compensation. This is where they give out company stock to employees. Even though this is good for the employees, it is not good for current investors. Over $94,000 was paid out in stock to employees. Second, they had almost $2 million in losses related to a specific investment. An unconsolidated entity is an investment in a company that they don't fully control. The company had a tough time in this investment and booked nearly $2 million in losses. Third, they booked over $600,000 in a gain because of some complex financial instruments. Don't let this number trick you. Cuentas only booked this gain to offset some of its financial obligations, and the core business is still not performing well. Scroll notes to condensed consolidated interim financial statements. You know what I did scroll say, when a company is struggling, the most important part of a filing is the notes section. This is where all the key details about the company are hidden. First, and most importantly, there is substantial doubt about the company's ability to continue. This is a huge red flag that means Cuentas might not exist in the coming years because they are running out of money. Scroll on May 22, 2025, the company signed Quota Membership Interest Purchase Agreement. NP10 scroll, because something interesting happened, but not within this reporting period. And on May of 2025, they sold their interest in Brooksville Development for $800,000. They used these funds to pay off major debt with 4 different creditors. Although it's good that they paid off debt, it's not necessarily good. There are many ways to spin selling an asset. Scroll, the contract for the sale of the Tour Brooksville property was terminated by the buyer on September 7, 2024. Scroll. Previously, they signed a deal to sell the Brooksville property for $72 million. The buyer backed out of the deal and they ended up selling for only $800,000 in 2025. Scroll on August 8, 2024, the company entered into a termination cover agreement to the processing services agreement Scrollquake. Also, Cuentas ended an agreement with another company, Incomina, which forgave almost $500,000 in debt. So with both of these agreements, they were trying desperately to improve their balance sheet. From a relationship with World Mobile, they are trying to launch a mobile virtual network, and Cuentas contributed what they are calling the Plum contract. Whether this will actually be good for the company in the long run is yet to be seen. In April of 2024, the company tried to sell $80,000 in future revenue, but that plan failed. They found a way to pay off the initial obligation for only $60,000 in May of 2025. This shows that even though the core business is struggling, the management is trying hard to salvage the company. Finally, for the internal controls of the company, the Chief Financial Officer has concluded that disclosure controls and procedures are not effectively designed. Furthermore, months after this report was made, the CFO resigned. The company clearly needs to make a lot of major improvements to just the basics. There is the usual assortment of legal proceedings facing the company. Crosshair Media Placement, Secure IP Telecom, and a former employee are all alleging different grievances against Cuentas, ranging from breach of contract and funds being diverted. In summary, based on their recent filings, Cuentas is facing tremendous financial challenges and might not be around for much longer. Their losses are increasing, sales are down, and they're selling off assets to basically keep the lights on, which is not sustainable. Alright, that's our breakdown of Cuentas' latest filing. Are they going to be able to turn this around? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this analysis was valuable, hitting that like button really helps, and subscribe for more deep financial dives. Don't forget to check out and join the Discord in the description. Thanks for watching. See you next time.